Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime. Coming up in the next hour and a half, police in Adesu in the eastern region have arrested 9 men suspected to have kidnapped 12 people, including 11 females. We'll bring you details. Also, leader of the coup which ousted Guinea's President Alpha Condé says new union government will be formed in weeks as government appointees of the deposed president are ordered to the presidential palace for a meeting or consider themselves rebels.
La personnalisation de la politique.
The personalization of politics, of political life is over. We will no longer entrust politics to a man. We will entrust it to the people. We are going to put in place a system that does not exist, and we must all build this system together.
Also tonight, former President John Dramani Mahama launches a scathing attack on the government's management of the economy. He alleges it's been characterized by gross mismanagement, unprecedented levels of corruption and excessive borrowing that has seen COVID-19 blamed for the mess he believes citizens are being forced to bear.
Government must accept that it is their mismanagement of the economy, their thirst for consumption expenditure, and the desire to spend beyond their means in order to win elections that have plunged us into the current crisis, not necessarily COVID-19.
We have details as he describes the economy as one in intensive care and in dire need of assistance. And later in business, Cocobot begins to sign a $1.5 billion syndicated loan.
I'm still very upset that at the end of the day, the matters that were under discussion have become the subject of the locus of arbitration.
We have details of these stories, plus the latest in the world of sports and showbiz in the one hour and a half bulletin. You want to stay with us. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra. We're on your digital TV because you are free to air. DSTV channel 421, Go TV 144. My name is Ernest Mini. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. Let's settle for the details now. And police in Adesu in the eastern region have arrested 9 men suspected to have kidnapped 12 people, including 11 females. Police say the arrest follows in manhunt after a woman walked into their office to complain about her missing sister. According to the district police commander, ASP Bafo Ewa, the complainant took the decision to report the matter to the police since the whereabouts of her sister, who had supposedly been on a travel abroad mission, could not be located. And we're joined on the phone lines by ASP Bafuewa for more on this. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. For the purpose of clarity, explain to us what led to the arrest of the 9 men who are in your custody at the moment.
All right, thank you very much, my brother. We had a report from a complainant that her sister left home for Takoradi to be prepared for immigration training after she had made a payment of 5,000 cedis to the supposed person who was helping her. And for over a month, she was not hearing from the sister. And anytime she speaks to the sister on phone, there was somebody standing on the sister who is directing the sister as to what to say. And she was not giving her any better information. That made us move to Takoradi and later to Agunam Kwanta, where we were able to rescue the sister. We located the sister, and when we brought her to Adesu, later we realized that it was a more serious issue than we were told.
Okay. Because
the sister made us know that there are a lot of other victims who were under that captivity. So we rushed in again, and with the help of the local police, we were able to rescue 12 victims. One of them was a male and 11 female. And we were able to arrest 9 suspects in connection with that. And I speak with you now, the suspects have been remanded into police custody to assist in investigations into an alleged case of defrauding by false pretenses and human trafficking.
Okay, so help us understand. I'm sure that the 12 whom you rescued have given you statements as part of your investigation. What kind of stories are they sharing with you, if you can let us in into that?
Thank you very much, my brother. What they are saying is that they were lured mostly by relatives and friends who have already been under this sort of, they've been victimized already, and they were with the people. And initially, they lured them into any of the security services. And whilst there, the moment you get there, they brainwash you and let you know that there is no need going through those stress and hassles, because there are more opportunities, more better opportunities ahead of you. So you don't need to go through those stress. And then once your mindset has been set towards their direction, they also entice you to lure your friends. So they're using snowball method to get in more victims. And any victim, they take 5,000 cedis from you. And once you're committed, they direct you to come to their location, first to Takoradi, and when you get to Takoradi, they direct you to come to Aguna Kwanta, where somebody will pick you to their location, and then they begin their training with you. First, you go through what they call presentation, and they have a funny term known as changement.
Okay.
A term they have coined, and they have a package that will be able to brainwash the minds of their victims to such an extent that even after they have been rescued, it took us a hectic time for them to believe that actually they were victims.
So for the 12 you have rescued, where are they currently and in what condition are they?
Currently, they have been handed over to their relatives and their conditions are better. When we got them, they were lean and sick looking. But the last time I saw them, some of them, that is today, they've been very attractive and healthy looking comparatively.
9 that you have arrested, have you charged them yet? What are the provisional charges?
For now, they have not been charged, but provisional charges were holding them for defrauding by false pretenses and human trafficking, as well as abduction, because one of the victims was under 17 years of age and second-year SHS student. But when she got there, they made her believe that education is a scam, it's a fraud. It's not real. You don't need to go through that system for anything, because you can even be richer than going through the educational system. And education cannot make anyone richer.
Okay. And are there others you're looking for? And what information can you give to the public to help you in that regard, if there is any?
So what I'm telling the public now is that if anybody entices you to pay any money to be recruited into the security services, that is not done. Take it to be a scam and inform the police. But those who are looking for, if anybody has any information about such a group, because I know it's a syndicate and it's a well-organized crime, so they could be located somewhere, and people may have idea and information about them. For instance, what was happening at Aguna Kwanta, people had idea about them, but they never reported until somebody reported about the missing sister at Adaiso, and we were able to locate them. We appealing to the general public to get in touch with the police, support the police with timely and credible information so that we'll be able to get rid of such miscreants from the society.
Thank you very much. That's ASP Bafo Iwad, the Adaiso District Police Commander. They're bringing us up to speed on the situation of kidnapping there. They have 9 suspects in their custody, 12 others rescued and currently being taken care of. Let's move to another security situation, but this time in the sub-region. Security analyst Professor Christine Agyemang has lashed out at ECOWAS, the African Union, and the international community for failing to speak out against the ills of the post-Guinean president, Alpha Condé. His comments come on the back of the coup. The latest news we are picking up from Guinea is that the leader of the coup says a, quote, union government will be formed in weeks. We'll get into that shortly. But first, listen to Professor Christine Agyemang, who says the happenings in Guinea is akin to a vote of no confidence in ECOWAS.
As a signatory to ECOWAS and African Union documents with respect to democracy, rule of law, respect for human rights, and elections, consistently failed to fulfill or comply with the documents that they had signed on to and the values and the norms that they had signed on. The final straw that broke the camel's back, or for the sake of Guinea, probably the back of the goat, is that the Alpha Conde is changing the constitution and allowing him to run for a third term undermined all these processes, disrespected ECOWAS, the African Union, and his own national constitution. Now, the question that we need to ask relates to the responses of his peers within ECOWAS and the African Union in advising him to pull back from the brink. We know that internally in Guinea, there were demonstrations, there were riots, people were killed and shot, but on the international scene, the level of criticism or advice given to Conde and his henchmen and women was very low. And those are the failures that I'm talking about. The same international community that is now reading the Riot Act woefully failed to contribute to preventing what has taken place.
So in your view, the likes of ECOWAS, AU and the likes should also be blamed for this?
I don't think the word is blame. I think for me, it's about how do we strengthen the instruments to either encourage or coerce those who have signed on to these documents to comply. You see, so if we strengthen ECOWAS and the way that it deals with member states, so they can comply. Because you see, failure in Mali, now in Guinea, will possibly cascade to other countries. And my assessment is that because of Chad, Mali, now Guinea, there may be 2 or 3 other countries that may face a similar challenge.
So the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, through its acting president, Ghana's leader, Daina Kwa, threatened sanctions if Guinea's constitutional order was not restored. Let me bring you details of that statement issued. It says ECOWAS notes with concern the recent political event occurred in Conakry, Republic of Guinea. She condemns in the strongest terms the attempted coup of Sunday's 5th September 2021. The ECOWAS demands the respect of the personal security of President Alpha Conde, his immediate release, and others detained. It continues by saying that she also demands the immediate return of constitutional order, failing which sanctions will apply. The ECOWAS reaffirms her disapproval of all unconstitutional changes of government. She urges all defense and security forces to maintain a republican posture and express her solidarity with the people and government of Guinea. Let me take you to Guinea now. We are joined by Mohamed Jallo, a member of the FNDC. Thank you very much, Mohamed, for joining us. We're also joined by a citizen, Hansen, which is not his real name. We're speaking to him on condition of anonymity. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us all the way from Guinea. Let me start with you, Mohamed. Tell us what the current situation is in that country. Hello, Mohamed. We're struggling to hear you.
You can see people rejoicing.
Well, we seem to have some technical challenge there. We're having a difficulty to your line, Mohamed. Let me try Hansen and see if we can have a good connection to him. Hansen, we understand, and I think I heard Mohamed say that citizens are jubilating. Do we still have that? And why is this support for the coup?
Thank you very much for giving me the privilege to express what is really happening in Guinea. Over the years, we've been hearing so many stories on how the government is operating in Conakry or Guinea at large. And just yesterday, to our utmost surprise, we woke up to the news that there were gunshots downtown. And just after a few minutes or hours, we got information that the president has been arrested by a group of military men. And this information, to be sincere, was perceived as a victory for so many Guineans whom from time immemorial had been wishing to witness such a scene because of the oppression, because of the malgovernance, because of every terrible condition Guineans have been going through. And this situation has really been alarming. It has really been alarming, and it has called for great joy in the hearts of so many Guineans. I wouldn't say everyone, because it has always been the case. Not everyone is going to be unanimous upon every situation. But to be very honest, in the city of Conakry, where I presently reside, so many people are truly rejoicing, jubilating, and expressing their joy for the arrest of Professor Alpha Conde. And this is the situation in Guinea. Everyone is rejoicing, everyone is happy.
So in essence, the citizens support this, and they believe that this perhaps may be the beginning of some economic recovery, which the economic conditions is what mainly the citizens are not happy about. Am I right on that?
Exactly. Just as it is, there is a parable that says, when you fall, don't check on where you fell, but instead where you stomped your feet before falling. Like, most people are going to center the idea on what is presently happening, and especially the denigrating images of Alpha Conde that is circulating on social media. But that is not the exact problem, which I personally also condemn for his image being exposed in such a way, because he also deserves a kind of moral integrity or moral coverage of respect. But the issue is, for the past years, with the exception of the malgovernance, corruption, and especially arbitrary arrest, and especially the inappropriate use of government fund, these were all situations inciting everyone to really get on their nerves. But like, the situation was so autocratic or dictatorial that there wasn't anyone to be very bold enough to have stepped into the case for intercession. But very fortunately, I might say, we came to have a colonel by the name of Mamadi Doumbouya, who was able to take the destiny of the country at hand, and with his members were able to arrest the president. And since then, it has been the case. But there are a series of occasions that led to the joy that everyone is feeling today. One, the financial situation, the economic situation of the country, the malgovernance, and also these arbitrary arrests. Okay. And to be very precise, the injustice, because anyone in any better position could do whatever they want and nothing comes out of it. And this was really alarming. This has really been hurting every Guinean. So seeing this happening, so it is not just the economic situation, but series of these situations that has led to what is happening in Guinea today.
And just before I move to my other guest on the other line, Hansen, help us understand how the coup has affected the running of business and even the administration of government. I'm talking of the government agencies, because there was an order, I understand, by the leader of the coup for everyone to resume work and go about their duties as if nothing has happened. Was that complied with?
Well, knowing Guinea historically, we've always known situations like this, not coup d'etat to be precise, but we have always confronted political riot strikes and issues related to that. So it has become a habit, to be sincere, in Guinea. And since yesterday, because of the silence and a coup d'etat, it might be very simple or common in the hearing of most people. But this particular one in Guinea is a very specific one, looking at how equipped the government was and how these people easily penetrated the president's residence and finally captured him. So this situation has really gotten everyone so scared. And today, a meeting was summoned at the People's Palace, and this meeting, we were all curious to know what is really happening. If not, even yesterday, he had given order that everyone should embark on their different activities, but the entire country was paralyzed, hoping to see the outcome of the meeting with these ministers and former government officers. And now that it has been made clear that the government has been dissolved, the constitution has been wiped off, and also the parliament, now, I think everyone is at ease and everyone now knows the actual situation of the country. So hopefully tomorrow, things might get back on track. But as it is in Africa, in most situations, panic is always the root game of everything. So with this, it might demand for some time for people to recover from this situation.
Very well.
Which
Hansen,
is a gradual process.
Absolutely. Hansen, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Guinea. And Hansen is a citizen joining us live here on Joy News Prime. Hansen is not his real name. We're speaking to him on that condition because he doesn't want to be known. Let me talk to Dr. Vladimir Chidanso. He's the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College. I'm grateful for your time, sir. Given the several attempts to oust, several governments, do you agree with Professor Enin that ECOWAS and AU and indeed the international community should be blamed for this condition?
Done what?
Hello, can you hear me, sir? Hello, Doctor. Hello, Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes. So I was saying that you had, I'm not sure if you heard him, but we spoke to a citizen from Guinea who says that, well, they're used to coups. Professor Enin had indicated that there have been several attempts to get this government out of power. And so ECOWAS, AU, and indeed the international community should be blamed because this was quite eminent. Do you agree?
No, I don't. When things are imminent, all they could do is to talk quietly. We call it quiet diplomacy, to amend his ways. And there is no way any of these multilateral organizations could have, send troops in a kinetic form, or there's no way. There are no protocols except the peer review mechanism that would have allowed them to help the government to amend their ways. So I wouldn't call it a failure on the part of the multilateral organization. I would call it the intransigence of the Conde government, which has created the solid conditions for his ouster.
Unlike many other coups we've seen in the sub-region and indeed on the continent, this one seemed to have overwhelming support of the citizenry. Does it change anything in terms of what you can expect from here?
Well, it doesn't change anything that much. The main thing is that every country is quite peculiar. And if you know the underlying conditions of, say, Guinea, it's unlike Mali. It's unlike Cote d'Ivoire. But all over those places, there were attempts. There were several situations where the coup could have happened. In every other situation, and those situations are the same, you look at the matrix of underlying conditions and then you judge by it. In Guinea, it was clear that tweaking the constitution, and mark you, it's not only Guinea that this situation has occurred, where incumbents changed the constitution and then they claim that the old constitution is dead. I'm going for a first term. In Cote d'Ivoire, that was the case. In Niger, it was the case. In Togo, it was the case. And now in Guinea. So that was a situation which I think ECOWAS, AU, and the international community should have addressed. The interpretation of that, moving a constitution from 7-year term to a 5-year term in the middle of an incumbency. And then when you serve your 2 terms, you say, well, I'm now going on the first term of the new constitution. This was the beginning of the problem of Guinea. Of course, Conte, the old president, started bringing about divisionism in Guinea. And we didn't talk about it. I mean, recruitment into the military has been on the Madinke line or Fula line, or even within the Madinke people, there are 3 divisions. And all these things didn't bode well for democracy in a country like Guinea. So the platform for coup has been there long ago. And as the professor of his thought also messed up the whole situation. So I am not surprised about what is happening.
The coup leader has announced that there will be a union government formed soon. This is just within 24 hours of the coup. Does it give you an indication that they have plans of handing over properly within the shortest possible time?
Well, I think so. I think he is more positive. He's got good credentials, and he believes that to solve the problems of Guinea, you don't just need a coup, classical kind of coup, the military ruling for a long time, and then another constitution. I think if I hear him well, he means well. He knows that there must be all hands on deck to rewrite the history of Guinea, to move to a situation where all understand what kind of democracy they want. To that extent, I think I give him my heart. But who knows? Most of the militaries in Africa, when they come and they see the legacy of power, we want to stay. We want to be even more robust. than the people they ousted. So let's see if all the people in Guinea, and he's now consulting a lot, consulting widely. Now that he's consulting widely, let's see what kind of understanding they would have for a new dispensation for themselves.
And just before you take leave of us, Doc, how does this affect us and the sub-region?
It affects the sub-region seriously. Any any unstable situation in a community like ours, take EU, if there is any unstable condition around, is disturbing. So once you have some unstable conditions, there is a possibility that if it exacerbates, we'll have exodus of people, migrants, wanting to find some places to affect us. Secondly, ECOWAS trade will be affected one way or the other. And immediate neighboring environment would also be unstable. Finally, who knows what other militaries are also thinking within the sub-region. So it does affect us, whether we like it or not.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Vladimir Chidanso. He's the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Staff Command College, joining us on the happenings in Guinea. Away from that, police in the central region have identified one of the 5 suspected armed robbers killed on Saturday at Daina Kwa as a notorious and wanted criminal who jumped bail and also terrorized residents. Now, according to the police, the armed men had attempted to rob some residents, but 5 of them were killed in the shootout. 2 of them, a male and a female, have managed to escape. Deputy Central Regional Police PR Inspector Isaac Etty says gunshot wounds were found on all the bodies.
3rd of September 2021, around 6 in the morning, the DRC District Police Command had information from Daina Kwa that a group of armed robbers had attempted to rob some residents of the town, but 5 of them were shot dead during the shootouts between the robbers and the residents of the town. 2 of the robbers, male and a female, escaped. Police proceeded to the scene upon information and found 5 young men lying on the ground, dead. The bodies, together with the scene, were photographed and inspected. Various degrees of gunshot wounds were found on all of the bodies. 2 locally manufactured guns were also found at the scene and 14 empty cartridges alongside it. Residents one of the robbers as Atta, a hardened armed robber within the community and on the DRC District Police Command wanted list. Bodies conveyed to Sefi Bibiani Government Hospital mortuary for preservation, identification, and autopsy, and case under investigation.
We can now hear from some residents of Daina Kwa who say they are happy members of the community watchdog were able to defeat the armed robbers. They are calling for increased police presence.
To come and help us with this our building, police station that we have tried our best, but where it left with money, financial issues. So they should come to our aid and help us. Even government himself can come down and help us. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
I am very happy because we are suffering. I was very happy because we are suffering. We do not have any peace in this community because of these robbers. Even when you are traveling, you are scared. We are begging government to provide us with more policemen for a better security here. I'm very happy. Last week around 5 a.m., I encountered some of the robbers. They forced me to lie on the ground and they collected my money, my phones and gold. They even made a chief lie on the ground. His wife was sick. They made him.
So let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to the Central Region Police Commander who has visited the area, DCOP Kwejo Tebi. Sir, thank you very much for joining us on Johnny's Prime. You have met with the chiefs, we understand, and the people of the community. What exactly have they been telling you?
Yes, actually, as you heard, some of the residents and then the police also tell you, yesterday, 2 days ago, that is Saturday dawn, Saturday morning, we heard that 5 armed robbers have been gunned down in the Akwaboso town in this central region. And they have gone there to harass the people. They made an attempt to rob a section of the town, the residents of the town, and they raised alarm. The residents of this part of the town raised alarm, and the volunteer group, which is a watchdog committee group, they have been formed, exchanged fire with them, and they were able to gun them down. 5 out of 7 armed robbers, as you heard, 2 of them were able to escape, a lady and then 1 man. So when we had this report, I went there in the company of the divisional commander Daina Kwa and then the DSO district commander, because that area falls under the DSO district. We went there on a fact-finding tour, and when we got there, the first place to visit was the Chief's Palace, where the regent Daina Kwa drew and his elders, alongside the volunteer group members, were waiting for us. And upon explaining our mission there, the regent informed us that they formed this volunteer group about 4 years ago to combat armed robbery, who have been launching incessant attacks, robbery attacks on the towns, on the various communities in the area. We have about 88 communities in the area, and the nearest police station, the Aso police station, is 2 hours drive. The road too is in a very bad shape. So they decided to form this volunteer group to combat the robberies. And they have erected barriers. They have erected checkpoints along the various towns, around the community. So when they get you, they meet you around from 11 p.m. going, and they question you where you come from, and they realize that you are not from the town. Then they will arrest you and hand you over to the police the following day. And on this particular day, that is on Saturday dawn, they had information that that is Friday dawn. Sorry.
Okay.
On the 3rd of September, they had information that these people, some group of armed robbers, have arrived in the town and attempted to attack some of the citizens, and so they engaged them in gun battle.
And DCOP, we understand that
5 of them down.
Yeah, we understand that some of the community watchdog members have been hurt. They have, sustained some wounds. Do we know what their current status is?
No, in fact, none of them sustained any wound. It was rather, the story was that a young lady of about 12 years living around the area got up that early morning to go and urinate, and then she was hit with a bullet. But she was treated and discharged at a nearby hospital. We went to the house to visit the victim, but nobody was in the house.
Very well. Thank you so much, DCOP Terry, for joining us with that update at Daina Kwa there on that situation. You're watching Johnny is Prime with me, and Asmini. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll bring you business.
Hello, it's time to do some business news on Joy News Prime. My name is Daina Kwa. First up, Cocoa Board has begun processes to sign $1.5 billion syndication loan for the next crop season, that is 2021-2022, for the purchase of cocoa beans. Now, speaking at the Olam Cocoa Managers Conference, Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boying Edu, disclosed that discussions have already begun with the banks to get the process on course by the end of the current crop season.
So, the long and short of it all is that COVID had adversely or negatively impacted, the market and affected our revenue generation. Now, when you combine the two, that's the climate change and then the impact of COVID, you come to realize that the money that we went for last year, we syndicated $1.3 million US for 2020-2021 crop season. But because of the two impacts, and then the production that ensued, because the production far exceeded our projection. The production of cocoa far exceeded our projection. And for that matter, the money that we went for the 1.3 billion US did not take us anywhere. And within the year, we've had a number of problems. Of course, I must commend Olam. You've done very well, because at some point, Olam was buying about 70,000 metric tons ahead of us.
Cocoa Board boss Joseph Boying speaking virtually at the Cocoa Managers Conference. Let's turn to developments in the oil and gas sector. The International Arbitration Tribunal in London has set the 16th of September this year to determine when it would hear the case brought against the government of Ghana by ENI, challenging unitization with wholly owned Ghanaian company Springfield. Ghana is getting ready to formally file its defense over the suit. George Affe has the latest.
Joy Business is learning that government has engaged an external solicitor and is in the process of filing the state's response not later than September 16, 2021. This will now open the door for the hearing date to be set by the court in London. Governments also say they don't think that ENI has a case. This is because unitization is nothing new, and regulators around the world have all used it to save cost when needed. In Ghana's case, government even cites the Jubilee oil field, where there's been some sort of unitization. According to government, it is pressing ahead with the unitization of Springfield and ENI because it wants to save cost, adding that it is not prudent for the two oil firms to work separately on the same oil area where resources can be pulled together. This because government will be losing in terms of revenue when it allows this to go on. It maintains that ENI has no case but would want to make its argument in court when the case opens. The Italian oil firm last month filed an application at the International Tribunal in London seeking to stop the Ghanaian government directive that ENI should unitize the Sankofa oil field and the Afina oil block operated by Springfield. ENI warned the tribunal to declare the directive by the Energy Ministry as illegal and breach of its contract.
Well, so President Akufo-Addo has been speaking about the ENI Springfield impasse, which has ended up in court. Addressing a delegation from the Western Regional House of Chiefs, he expressed disappointment over the decision by the Italian oil and gas firm to turn to the court when the matter was under discussion. Meanwhile, energy consultant Dr. Isi Suleimana says government's defense of the unitization should be well researched and based on credible data.
It's surprising, no, because we saw this coming, especially the way the case, was being prosecuted, So what I would say is that from the government side, we have no alternative than to take the stand that we are taking. But in the oil and gas field, actually, it's not a matter of taking entrenched stand. Actually, it is just a matter of having credible data that's going to, let you know that you have the case. But talking about Ghana per se, unitization as a whole is not a bad idea, Darrell. It's been done, and they are right that Cosmos and Talo, they did unitize. Nobody heard about it, But about this particular one, Springfield is a local player, while ENI is an international player. And so as long as the government of Ghana, permitted that this unitization had to be done, and it is actually within our laws that this unitization has to be done, then it has a cause to be worried, actually. So we have to tread cautiously. But what I would say is that, it is data at the end of the day to speak. So if government of Ghana is preparing defense, they should just make sure that we have credible data from the side of Springfield.
All right, that's it for business for now. My name is Daina Kwa.
Definitely time now for the world of showbiz and all that is in there. And beautiful Becky is back on Joy News Prime. You left me lonely and sad, Becky.
You were
yeah, I missed you.
You just called me. I was.
You left it telling me.
I was in Kumasi. I was recording E-Vibes, Jackie, and another interesting one, Messi Siedu.
Okay.
That you should look forward to.
So that's next on E-Vibes.
Jackie is next on E-Vibes, but this evening, Nobolin Ketia is in the news. I can't remember the last time.
It's been long.
Baby, now why, mommy?
Tunina.
Praise the Lord. So he's been talking about his journey into the music industry and how Maurice Babyface played a critical role in his career.
All right.
So one of these days I was watching when Maurice Babyface was walking by my house and he heard me singing and he stopped and was like, you have such a beautiful voice. Why are you wasting your time selling Bronu with it instead of coming to the studio for me to record you? Because the people come to the studio with some bonyo voice and yet they call themselves musicians. So stop watching and follow me to the studio and let's record. And like a joke, I just also stopped watching and I followed him to the studio. And we started recording.
Did you know him already?
We lived in the same area, but I didn't even know that he was a music producer. Wow. Yes. And at that same time, Esther Smith was also recording because we lived in the same neighborhood. Okay. And so on that day, we went there and he asked me if I had songs written. And I told him I've written just 4 songs. And he said, okay, he will write some for me. But whilst we were recording the 4 songs, I mean, God gave me 2 more songs. So I wrote them and we recorded that. So in the midst of that, in 8 days, we had recorded an album.
Oh.
And exactly 2 weeks, which is about 13 days, I was signing a new contract for my song to start play on air. Exactly 3 weeks, my song was everywhere in the country playing. My story had changed. And exactly a month, which was even less than 30 days, my song was #1 on every chart shows in the country. Really? Beating songs like Kojenji's Tom and Jerry and Daddy Lumbe's Medono.
We are enjoying his prime, so please.
Okay, please.
All right.
I was touched by the music.
But it tells the story of the hard work.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
It's not all about the fame.
No.
But also strategic people that help you on the journey.
Yeah, and it's good that he is appreciating what Maurice did for him. I think that it's just, the way forward.
Absolutely.
Let's move away from Noble Nketia. Let's talk about Something Must Kill a Man. We've been preaching Something Must Kill a Man. Go and watch Something Must Kill a Man at the Labadi Beach Hotel. And voila! It happened at the Labadi Beach Hotel. And so for those of you who haven't seen Latif's new play, Something Must Kill a Man, here, highlights.
Oh, no. Hey, what is that?
I've had this stuff waiting for the right opportunity to use it.
I'm drinking my destiny. Hey, my dear, my husband, please, morning. Have time.
Hey, Bella, rat
in my house! You can check your side! Well, Oliver, stand there! Rat in my house! You can check your side!
That's strange. Hey. I am dying, but don't get me angry.
I will never die for Aku. I did it for my grandchild.
But you shouldn't have done the poison.
I had to do it, Duke. At least I will die knowing I saved the soul.
Papa, I can't live with this girl. Papa.
No, I don't have enough time.
What is that?
It's pizza.
There was one time I had a terrible experience with it, but for your sake, I don't mind dying.
Oh. So you can just have a bite. Let me feed you. How does that taste?
Very good.
Something will definitely kill a man. If not food, alcohol.
He said, for your sake, I don't mind dying. Really?
But that is outside. That is not an auditorium.
Yeah, it's an open space.
Great job
yeah,
there. Great job there.
It's the first time something of this sort has happened. And so
kudos Latif and the
we have
team.
to congratulate.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Becky, for the latest in the world of showbiz. We have more stories for you. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. There's an acute water shortage in Wale in the northeast region following an interruption of water supply in the area. The situation has compelled residents to depend on groundwater from uncovered wells and other unwholesome sources, most of which have been polluted by torrential rains. A similar situation occurred a few months ago, and the Ghana Water Company blamed it on a technical problem in the pipelines. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko has been speaking to some residents who say the present lack of clean water in the municipal capital is affecting the activities.
For years, access to clean drinking water has remained a challenge for residents of Wale and its contiguous communities. The residents mostly are left with no option but to depend on underground water from uncovered wells and small dams for household as well as commercial purposes. Ordinarily, the residents wouldn't complain about unavailability or scarcity of water at their homes and workplaces in a rainy season like this. But the problem is, most of the water sources such as the hand-dug well and some boreholes are said to have been polluted by torrential rains. The situation, Joy News checks, confirmed is affecting the activities of most households and small businesses in the community. Like this woman, Kankani, a food seller in the market square, who says she now depends on water she buys from tricycle operators to run her food business. I sell food, but there's no water for my business. The taps are not flowing, so we are compelled to buy water from elsewhere. We are appealing to the government to help us with clean drinking water and toilet facilities. Another food seller, Arija Sule, also shares how the situation is gradually collapsing her business.
We are
unable to access good drinking water, and the taps are empty, no drainage system, and the whole town is in a mess. Barrels of water every day, and it's even worse on market days. But this is the hometown of the vice president. This market, no electricity, no toilet facility, no pipe. This man, Mumuni Awal, operates a small washing bay near the municipal hospital. He also now relies on tricycle operators for water to do his work. He explains the impact of the situation to Joy News.
You have to get a motokia to go for the water, so you pay. And how can you get a motokia to fetch water for you and you wash motor and get money? Then get. Because through that we're even trying to increase the price. But because there's hardship, people are complaining. You can't increase it simply because I'm a native for Wale. You see that, and even the neighbor villages, we know each other. So if someone comes to wash his motor or a car and complain about the price, you can't increase it again. So the issue of the point is, we are from Wale and vice president from Wale. They were saying that this water shortage will not even experience it again. And in a week, if you get water 2 days, the rest of the days you will not get water. It's a fact. And we are appealing that anywhere at all Chamasamba is, they should hold him responsible. This is a rainy season, and the water is not coming. So what if it is a dry season?
The situation is also affecting activities in some public institutions such as schools, a municipal hospital, guest and slaughterhouses. These students of the Wale Senior High School were seen roaming around in search of water. At this overstretched borehole, the students said they have been authorized by their headmaster not to speak to the media. To end the decade-old situation, this government in 2017 began a water supply project. But the project has since been embroiled in a tale of controversies and still far from completion. The water project, although yet to be completed, is being managed by the Community Water and Sanitation Agency. The municipal manager of the agency, Hassan Mahama, explained the reasons for the situation.
The big pump,
we cannot use it in the night. And that is where much of the water is. And that particular thing too, the pump experts are there, they work on it. On Monday, this week Monday, they were here and they were able to resolve the problem partially. So the other coming, we cannot give a date for now because we usually communicate with our director who will intend to talk to them. Then we see how they are coming to resolve it. But as soon as possible, the problem will be resolved so that we can be pumping or supplying water in the night. But I can't give specific timing for it.
Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
Let's speak to the Director in charge of Public Relations of the Ghana Water Company, Stanley Mate. Thank you very much for joining us here on Joy News Prime. Now, what exactly is accounting for this situation? We understand that there will be some rationing happening. Help us understand. Hello, Mr. Mate, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Mate, can you hear me? Well, the connection to you is not great. We seem to have a challenge with the internet there. We'll try and resolve it so we could speak to you. Let's try again. If you can hear me, help us understand why the region is experiencing the interruption in water supply. We'll try and get you on phone, Mr. Mate. The internet connection to you isn't great. So the story is that there's a water shortage in Walewale. We do know that government had, said that it was going to fix this problem in the long term. There was a water project that was meant to address this. We want to find out what has happened to that, plus why the current situation, the Ghana Water Company, will help us understand and what the plan is for the rationing that we are told will be happening in the month, later this month. I suspect beginning next week. Stanley Mate, who is the Director of Communications for the Ghana Water Company, will be joining us to help us understand this story. So Ilyasu Tanko, who is our correspondent, filed the story. And Stanley, Mr. Mate, thank you very much for joining us on Joy News Prime. Help us understand the situation in Walewale. What is happening?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me say that Walewale falls under Community Water and Sanitation Agency. So we have also just heard the news and we are in touch with them to see how best they can get a solution to that problem as early as practicable. So we are communicating with them and hopefully they should come out with reasons why it is so and then how they intend solving the challenges. For Ghana Water Company,
in your estimation, how long will this take to be resolved?
Let us hold on and then let us get the issues very well. Then we'll be able to address it very well. Okay. But for now, I think it will be premature for me to speak on the issue when we haven't had a good meeting on that one. Sorry about that.
We understand that some parts of the Greater Accra region will be without water also for a certain duration. Let us in on that.
Yes, from next week Monday, that's the 13th of September, to Friday, we will be shutting down the water treatment plant to enable us to undertake some repair works within the western part of Accra. For instance, our raw water pipeline is leaking, and there are several leakages and bursts also within the system. We also have some valves that are faulty now within the system and impeding flow of water to within the distribution line. And that is why we have taken steps to address these issues. And what we are doing is that we have set project teams to all areas that will be having some work done. And we are set to start the work, and we are hopeful that we are going to do all the work concurrently or simultaneously, so that within 3 to 4 days, we'll be able to finish whatever we have to do and restore supply to the western part of Accra. So from Monday to Friday, the entire western part of Accra will be down because the entire water treatment plant will be shut down for that period.
And when you say the western part, which areas are we looking at?
Yes, so the western part, starts from, let's say, the Obecha Bilanti Circle through to Awudome, Kaneshi, North Kaneshi, Tesano, La Paz, Achimota, and Abeka itself, and then down to Awoshi, Anya, Ablekuma, Malam, Dansoman, Kolebu, Mataheko, Latebi Okoshin, Mamprobi, Agege, Sakaman, Odoko, Malam Bawe, Weja itself, Botiano, and Kaswa, and all surrounding communities within the area. In fact, all areas being served by the water treatment plant will be without water because we are shutting down the treatment plant for 3-4 days. We are hopeful that by Friday we should be able to complete everything, and then we can restore supply to the entire area. Thank you. Thank you very much. Stanley Mate is the Communications Director of the Ghana Water Company. Motorists on the Tesano Alajo stretch have been complaining bitterly about the persistent flooding on that road. That stretch gets flooded each time it rains, forcing motorists to carefully maneuver through just one out of the 3 lanes on that road. My colleague Judith Architando was at the scene this morning and reports drivers are gradually getting fed up with the frequent occurrence.
It's yet another day here on the Tesano Alajo stretch, and things have still not changed. Following the almost 6-hour downpour last Thursday, this road got heavily flooded, causing a gridlock. But 4 good days after, nothing has still been done about this situation, and drivers are agitating.
Monday morning, from Thursday, we were not around. I didn't use this road from Thursday, but Monday morning, I left the house around 6:30. And I'm still in traffic. Can you imagine? When will I get to the office? It makes it too stressful. They should work on it. If there's flood, something must be done. The people who are supposed to attend to it must do it.
About an hour, 30 minutes. I think that it just gives me the impression that the right structures are not in place to help the flow of traffic as it stands now. I think that the authority should be doing more about it.
Basically, I'm coming from Taifa, and then the traffic has been so heavy.
It's very terrible. Yeah, very terrible, because at times you wouldn't know what is ahead, so it disorganizes your activity for the day.
Well, the complaints of passengers are no different.
This thing has been there for some time, almost every time it rains, because I've been plying this road for about 6 years, and I don't know why they just can't solve this little problem. So we are just managing it.
1.5 hours. Depends on our distant authorities. Yeah, they have to do all these things to make the citizens free, because they have been traveling. They know all these things, but I don't think they are making use of.
So we have a taxi driver here, Mr. Siedu, whose car has been overheating because he's been stuck in traffic for a long number of hours. Mr. Siedu, tell us, your car has been overheating. Why is this happening?
I don't know the reason why the car is doing overheating, because of the traffic. Yeah, they have to do something on it. The sanitation minister is there. We don't know how they are doing, unless a car they've gone there to clean the Abaye people do. They have to come here and do the gutters too. Motorists are fed up of the unchanging situation and are calling on government to fix our roads. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Judith Tando.
That report was us at this morning. Judith returned to that same spot later this afternoon, and here's what she found.
It's been 4 hours since I last reported on the persistent flooding situation here on the Tesano Alajo stretch. I'm back at the scene, and you can see for yourself, the water is all gone now. Authorities sent in a vehicle that sucked up the floodwaters to allow free flow of traffic. But if you look further down beneath me, you'd see that the gutters are still choked with sand, meaning that if it rained again today, the situation would go back to normal. So the question still remains, is this really a permanent solution? Reporting for Joy News, my name is Judith Tando.
Parents of a final year student of Upon Memorial Senior High School at Kukufu want police to swiftly bring the killers of their son to book. 19-year-old visual arts student Richard Appiah was stabbed in the lower abdomen by some youth of Kukufu following a confrontation with the deceased and his friends Saturday night. Mother of the deceased, Florence Buahima, wants police to speed up investigations to bring relief to the family. Her appeal comes as police hunt for a gang suspected to have been involved in the stabbing incident. Ohime Teria of our security desk reports.
The final year student, in the company of 4 others, sneaked out of campus on Saturday to the Kukufu town. At the time, all students were asleep. Police say the attack on the deceased and his friends, who are noted for sneaking out of campus, was premised on an earlier incident. Bekwai District Police Commander DSP Damte Brown tells Joy News the latest incident was triggered by the opposing youth seizing an iPhone of one of the friends of the deceased.
A student called Richard Appiah. He has some friends in the school, and they used to sneak to town every evening. And they had an encounter with some youths in the town some time back. Meanwhile, that case was not reported to the police.
And just before we go, former President John Dramani Mahama has launched a scathing attack on government's management of the economy. His verdict is that the nation is in an economic mess that cannot be explained as an impact of COVID-19. COVID-19 has generally been cited by experts as a key unforeseen event that has negatively affected economies. The 2020 NDC flag bearer, who on Monday joined the NDC's professional forum, believes the nation's situation was worsened by underlying mismanagement. There's more in the following News Desk report.
You would remember that at a time when the new government had just taken over, a year or two after, when things, they were still enjoying the largesse that we had left them, one of the leading members of the government said that their reserves had grown so big that if any external shock affected Ghana, Ghana would be able to go 3 months without seeking any external assistance. I don't know how many of you remember that statement. When COVID hit, it didn't take 2 weeks for the Ghanaian economy to go on its knees. But for the IMF intervention, I mean, this economy would have collapsed completely.
The full bulletin and the full report in our subsequent bulletins. That's it for Joy News Prime. Many thanks for your company. You find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Good morning and welcome to News File.